Hello, I welcome you to today's presentation. It promises to be equally uh, exciting. If you are watching me for the first time, you are not at the wrong place. I will urge you to subscribe to the channel. What I do here is that I bring you updates on a variety of issues. If you are also a returning viewer, it is important that you make it a point to subscribe to the channel. As I said, I am bringing you a very sensitive topic, today. I would urge you to stay glued to your seat. Uh, if you are not a direct beneficiary, as I said, somebody remotely or closely related to you could be a beneficiary. What you do is to share this information for the benefit of all. Good. So today I am going to explore the do's and don'ts during your US visa interview. What do you have to do? What don't you have to do during your US visa interviews? I have shared a video on how to pass your interviews, and I did so with particular reference to job interviews. However, some of the things I stated in there are still relevant, particularly with reference to professional behavior, how to conduct yourself professionally during interviews. The fact that you have to be present at the interview center on time, the fact that you have to use the appropriate language, a variety of issues. So today I am proceeding with this particular one. I am proceeding on the assumption that you have met or cleared all those basic, interview requirements. You have dressed properly. You were not late for the interview. You accessorized. It means that you put on some accessories. You noted that your accessories were not overdone. You didn't put too much accessories. Your bracelets and your chains were not dangling. They were not making noise, and they were not disturbing. Those are some of the things I talked about. So I am proceeding on the assumption that you have dressed properly, you were at the US visa interview center on time, you accessorized accordingly and all those fundamentals. I am going to look at things you do when you face the consular or the consular officer, your interviewer, the one that is going to validate you're going to the United States of America. And so it is important that you stay glued to your seat in order that you do not go and make any such mistakes that have the potential to affect you adversely, to affect adversely the outcome of your US visa application. And I am going to dwell on F1 visas, study visas. You know that visas, US issues a variety of visas, tourist visas, spousal visas, study visas, and, a whole lot of them. So today I'm going to dwell on F1 visas, things you do and things you do not do when you have applied for an F1 visa interview. And again, let me say that I am going to proceed on the assumption that you are at the interviewing or the interview grounds, having met the basic interview fundamentals. You were there on time, you accessorized accordingly, you dressed properly, you didn't drink. Today I am looking at your face-to-face engagement. When you go face-to-face with your consular officer, the determinant of whether or not you should be given their visa to go to the US. So that is what I am looking at. Now, the first thing to do, or one of the things to do when you appear before a consular officer, the consular officer is the one that is going to interview you, the determinant of, or the validator of your going to the US. Mind you that the consular officer is not there just to reject you. It's not there for the purposes of rejecting your visa, no, your visa application, no. The consular is only there to validate your going to the US, whether indeed you qualify for the non-immigrant visa you are applying for. So this is what you do if you have applied for your US F1 or US study or student visa, however you call it, it means the same thing. Of course, you began with the application of your application to an SEVP school. You paid your service fee. You had your I-20, your D-160 form. You filled it. You submitted it, booked your appointment, and here you are today, facing the consular, officer. The first thing to do is that you must speak naturally, clearly, and concise, in your usual accent. It is very important that when you meet the consular or the interviewer, you speak clearly, naturally, and concise. It is very, very important. So that is the first do. The flip side is that you do not put on any odd accents, or you don't go and throw off any American accent, The consular or the consular officer understands your accent, He appreciates the fact that you are not a native English speaker. So he understands the Ghanaian accent. It is completely, completely unnecessary to go to the consular officer trying to prove a point, trying to speak in an odd American accent. It might not augur well for you. So it is always important that when you appear before the consular general, you speak in your natural, accent. You do so in a clear, concise manner. Please make it a point. Appear before the consular officer and speak with your natural voice like I'm doing. Don't go, and force any American slangs. The consular might be laughing in his head because he doesn't know what you intend, and that may lead to a rejection of your visa. People have that proclivity to go and use forced accents, They know that you are not a native speaker of the language, so why do you go and use or force accents, So it is important, speaking your natural voice. Do not go and then use any forced or odd accents. It is very important. And then when you are speaking, the second do is that when you are speaking, you look at the interviewer. Look at the interviewer. Yes, it is important that when you are speaking with an interviewer, you look at him in the face, you establish an eye contact. It is very important. In fact, in some spheres, it is assumed that when you are speaking and you do not look into the eyes of or establish an eye contact with the person with whom you speak, it marks of dishonesty. It means that you are not being honest. And so it is important that if you are speaking to your consular or the consular officer, you look at him in the face, yes, any forms of speculations about dishonesty is avoided. So it is always very important. You need to practice it if you are not used to it. Yes, So speak to the consular officer, looking at him in the face. It is very important. That is the second do. The flip side is that do not stare. Do not stare at the consular officer. There's a difference between looking at somebody in the face and then staring at somebody. Staring means you are looking at the person, sheepishly. You are not blinking. You are not blinking, please. It is not advisable. Much as it is important that you look at the interviewer in the face, it is also very important that you do not go and stare at the interviewer. When you do that, you make him uncomfortable. So practice it. You have to blink intermittently so that the interviewer will know that you are not staring at him, but you are rather looking at him. Note the difference. When you go, look at the interviewer in the face, but do not go and stare at the interviewer. It is very, very, very important. Good. The third thing you do when you go to when you face your consular officer or simply your consular is to carry your documents. Yes, it is always important that you carry your documents. In the American, during American interview, chances of your document being asked are very little because you submitted all those documents during your online application. So your consular has all the documents in front of him. However, it is important that you prepare those documents. Make sure that you catalog those documents, you serialize them, or you arrange them such that they are easily accessible. So they tell you to bring your transcripts, you know where your transcripts are. They tell you to bring your certificates, you know where your certificates are. It is important that in as much as they might not ask, you still would have to present it because you never can tell. There are rare cases where a consular may ask you to pull out or to bring out particular documents, and this is one of the reasons that makes it important that you present your documents, and in doing so, organize it properly, make make it well arranged so that in the event that you are asked to present any of those documents, you are able to do it without any difficulty. So it is important. So the third do, that is it. Do carry your documents. Do carry your documents. The flip side or the opposite side is that do not offer your documents. Yes, you have presented those documents all right, but until when the consular or the consular officer asks you for any of those documents, do not pull it out. Yes, don't by way of any in an attempt at supporting your argument, try to pull out any document unless the consular officer requests for it. Do not pull out any documents because they have those documents already. Remember that your interview lasts for on the average it lasts between 3-4 minutes. Yes, that is the duration, the average duration of an American F1 visa interview, and so there's no point trying to over impress them. In an attempt at doing so, you might end up on the wrong side. So it is important. Note that yes, you present your documents, you carry your documents in a file properly catalog those documents, properly mark those documents. So you know that this document is my transcript, this document is that, this document is that. And I have said the flip side is that in spite of having carried those documents with you, do not go and offer them any documents, especially if they have not asked for it. Pull out those documents only if they have requested for it. Good. Another thing to do when you appear before the consular officer, the determinant of your going to the USA or not, the validator of your going to the US is that you have to smile. Don't go and wear any serious, looks, because smile itself brings confidence. Smiling, marks of confidence. It is important that when you appear for the interview, you wear a smile, but you don't overdo it. Over smiling also could be interpreted to mean something else. So it is important that when you go, you put a smile on your face. What do you look for? It had been your perhaps your childhood dream to to school in the USA, and this time you are much closer to it than before. So you have to smile. Don't go and wear any serious face. So yes, so the flip side is that you don't go and be so nervous. Yes, I understand that given the stakes, the fact that the stakes are so high because you are the crossroads, that is the defining moment. And so, naturally, there could be some level of, nervousness, but it is important that you, you bring it to the bare minimum. You do not go hyperventilating or sweating. It is not a good sign that you go to the interview room so nervous that you are hyperventilating or you are sweating. So do not go there feeling nervous. However, go there with a smile, because a smile breeds confidence. Do not go there being nervous, because every year several thousands of people are granted visas, F1 visas, to study in America. So your situation may not be so different. You could be the the one. It could be your turn. So it is important that you smile. Do not be nervy. Do not go hyperventilating or sweating. It is not a good sign. Good. Now another sign. Okay, another sign, and the last. Another point. Another do. Last but not least, is that when you go, you have to emphasize strong ties at home. Yes, when you go, you have to emphasize strong ties at home. Let them know the fact that you have strong ties at home. There's something that actually binds you, something that is compelling to bring you back home. Yes, it could be by way of your family, your mom, how you are attached to your family, your dad. It could be your wife, your children, or something specific. It could be something monumental. It could be a property, a building, a business, something monumental that could bring you home. Yes. And so when you go there, it is important that you emphasize strong ties at home. Good. So do emphasize strong ties at home. The flip side do not show you are do not show you a potential immigrant. Yes, the kind of visa that will be issued you, the F1 visa or the study or the student visa, is a non-immigrant visa. What it means is that you are only going there for the purpose of studies and to return. You don't intend staying. So don't go and say anything that would make them think, that you have no interest of coming back. You don't intimate an interest in a full-time job there. You don't go and tell them in the course of the interview. Don't tell them you want to take up a full-time job after your graduation. So they will know that in doing so, you might not come back home. All you are doing is to use the student's visa or the student's route as a means of migrating to the USA, and you could end up losing out on your visa. So these are some of the things you have to do and things you do not have to do when you appear before the consular officer. I'm not saying these are all the things to do and things not to do, but these are very important. I'm sure that if you follow these guidelines when you appear before your consular officer, you could avoid possible you could avoid petty mistakes that could result in your visa rejection. So today what I have said is that appearing before your consular or the consular officer means that you are at the crossroads, because your consular officer is going to determine your eligibility or your validity to go to the US. Now, there's a difference between gaining admission to study in the US and getting a visa. The two are mutually exclusive. Gaining admission to study in the US is mutually exclusive of having been granted or getting your visa approved or granted, your visa application approved or granted. There's no correlation. You can get you can get your admission to study in the US, but the consular may not deem you eligible to to validate or sanction your going to the US. I have shared with you some of the things you are to do when you appear before the consular officer, and some of the things that you are not to do when you appear before your consular officer. I am sure that if you go by these guidelines, you could reduce your chances of getting your visa rejected. I am once again urging you to subscribe to the channel, you share and you comment. In doing so, you are helping to project this agenda. You have no idea how many people information such as these would benefit. And so I urge you all to subscribe to the channel, comment, share and like. In doing so, you are making the project a success. I'll see you some other time. Have a wonderful day. Bye.